All right, hello and welcome to all my good friends out there, or just my friends in general. You can never have too many friends, right? Welcome to another weekly edition of Stock Market Mutterings. This is for the 8th of July. Hope your trading is going well. This is also where I'll take a grope in the murkiness, as I say every week, to try to find you some quality trade setups, give you my thoughts and feelings about the market, and give you a couple of different trading scenarios. Now, if you need help with your trading, I've now updated the site. So all I'm going to do is just post the link to the website. We have a live trade room, have a live feed. I have dozens of new free and paid training courses online. So if you're looking to take your game to another level, whether you're a beginner or somebody that's quite advanced in your trading, go visit the linkenlist.com, browse the section of education, and see if there's a fit there for you. Now, as I said in the description, this market, it is begging. It's begging like a little toddler begs over its child, except for it's begging for a rate increase. And I know it sounds strange. Here we are sitting at all-time highs on Friday, not all-time high close, but we hit all-time highs this week on Thursday. So we're at all-time highs. Employment's good. Growth is still going. GDP's good. And there really isn't a reason to cut rates, but the market is pricing in 100% now, 100% of a rate cut. So we're either going to see it, like we've said in the last couple of mutterings, somebody's going to bluff here. Either the market's going to be wrong on this and the Fed's going to hold their stance, or the Fed is going to do exactly what the market wants to do and cut. So we're going to see if we're going to get a 25 basis point cut, 50 point basis cut. But right now the market is 100% convinced they got the Fed in the palm of their hand, and that's what we're going to see. So now whether we think it's crazy or not, and whether we think inflation is going to ultimately become a problem, this is going to create more debt or whatever, doesn't really make a difference because the market is doing whatever it wants to do. In fact, every little half a percentage point drop in this market gets brought right back up. You had a little bit of selling there on Friday to start the day out, pulling from all-time highs, and it just drops. And the next thing you know, practically every stock goes from red to green. Not every one of them, but a fair share of them. So there was some great ranges to trade. I would think that, I'm kind of leaning a little bit here. The last couple of times we finished the week out on an all-time high, we pulled back a little bit. Now, when I say pulled back, I don't even think we pulled back that much, but we either just kind of, let's say, like a little slow slope downwards. We had a couple of pulls here like this where the market just kind of consolidated and went sideways. Got a little pullback there in the later part of June. We might see something like we might see a little bit of a pullback or a back test up here underneath this, maybe 294. I don't know, but I still wouldn't expect, until you're going into the Fed, you might get a sell down week, you might get a pullback, you might get a couple of flushes here on some China trade deal news, but I wouldn't expect continued, sustainable, multi-percentage corrections until the Fed. I just think they're going to prop this market up. And when I say they, I'm creating some powers that be in my mind. I don't really know who they are. Call them plunge protection team, call them the central bank, call them the Fed, call them whatever you want. But that's my thought. Now, on the other hand, I don't know how much interest you're going to get. We're going to have to see some trading coming up here at the beginning of the day on Monday. I'm talking about in order to get a feel for, just how much attention and attraction that people have at all-time highs. I mean, when you get towards this after having a 5% correction there, a couple percentage point correction in May, and then coming storming back in June, and you're sitting here at all-time highs, making a couple of all-time highs, it seems like every other day. Getting heavily long up here is kind of touchy. It's touchy because anything can happen. I'm not saying the market doesn't crash from all-time highs, but you hate to top tick something up here. So we're going to have to see how it works. But I would expect a small pullback from here, maybe just a small fade. But again, watch 294 if we pull back. If we continue to float upwards, I don't know how much more we have over SPY 300. But touchy spot here. I think, though, as we progress, we're going to look through some pullbacks. Now, there are a couple of different types of stocks that are set up for have some decent look. They may need a little market help, or may have to have a little bit better market direction in certain areas. But TTD, let's take a look at TTD. This is obviously a former beast, and this chart what still is a beast. I take that back. This chart is lining up like it did back in May, where you kind of had this big washout and then it went sideways for a little while, and then once it broke through the upper range of that consolidation, like this 204, I mean, it just went straight to 250. It just jams up $50 in about 1 week. You kind of have the same scenario playing out right here. You've got about 6 or 7, I can't even count how many this is. I'm not going to sit here and count it one by one, but what, a little over a week here of just nice sideways, sideways action here, and a good close on Friday. And look at the bounce on this thing. It just kind of washed out into support early on. Bounces from 230 to 237. I'd pay close attention. If this thing clears this 20 moving average here of 240, I would think, bare minimum in this case, you probably, based on the way the chart looks, you're probably at least going to go back to 255, get up towards the highs on this chart. So watch this TTD. Watch for a solid move through this 20-day moving average of like 240. And then if it gets back tested, making sure that it holds the 240 spot. I mean, it's got a little bit of work here, but just kind of pay attention to this thing. I think you might see a nice solid run on that one. Same could be said here for TWLO. This is another one here. It's got the same type of a look. They've all pulled from their highs, and this one sold off consecutively, a really strong sell from 150 to 135. And it's done that before. You've had some pullbacks in this chart. You see a couple of nice size reds, but every pullback in this has been just another buying opportunity. So the same thing with TTD. You've got quite a few days here of pretty solid support and pretty good establishment in the chart. Not only that, you had a pretty solid sell and a dive. I mean, this thing just took right off. I mean, it was on Thursday. Let me go back. Thursday, 141, fades to the close, then just kind of, I'm going to say the word dump. I might be exaggerating there because we really, if you traded in the year of 2001, you know what a real dump is, or 2008. But nice little sell-off here. Goes straight down about $3 or $4. One of the bigger selling days it's had in a little while. But look what it does. I mean, damn near, it closed $1 green, so pretty big retracement here. This one as well looks like you clear that 20 moving average right here where it is actually sitting at 140. You're probably going to go back to highs on this one. So barring any surprises, you've got TTD and TWLO here. And I'm sure there's a dozen others I'm not even looking at, but I'm sharing these charts with you because I am looking at these. They're just sitting here sideways ready for another move. I mean, maybe you can put team in that same category. I'm just clicking through some here. I don't have necessarily any others I was looking at. Those were my two main focuses coming off of moving averages. But, they look pretty good. TTD and I think I already clicked PayC. Yeah. Now, another one here could possibly be Wayfair. I didn't like the way that it traded on Friday. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more. I guess I'm trying to say I was hoping for another 140 test on this. And then it bounces back up to 145. This is kind of building here. It would be nice if it traded sideways. It was kind of a little bit different setup going into Friday after Thursday, because you got down into this really strong support that's been running around since May. It's basically a triple up bottom coming from May. Just a little bit lower than that would be 136, but a nice little double here, kind of setting up as a triple. I tell you what, if you can get down here and there's another test where you can get just a little bit lower here, maybe a couple of shots of selling that gets it down to 142 and establishes 142, I think this could be a long for at least a trade back up to 152, the 20-day moving average on this one. And it could still do it here. It remains to be seen how it trades. Now, on the flip side, you may actually want to look at this one as well for a test under 140. Say there's a different scenario that plays out. You start seeing some selling. You start seeing some of these in this sector get hit. If this thing finally loses that after a couple of months, it may trade back down to its 200-day moving average of 128. So you might get a double here on this one. So kind of put that one up there. And I think I'd take a look at Facebook here too. It's come right back from this early June selling. And I mean, bounced off of its 200-day moving average. It's up a lot. You'd like to see it rest when you've come 35 plus bucks over the last month. I mean, that's a pretty big move, and some of these got earnings coming up like Netflix, for example. But you got a double top here on the daily. So if there's a way, I don't know if I would necessarily just run right into this early. That doesn't mean it won't work, but you come up here at a double top. You kind of have a little V-shaped rally going on. I don't know how much value would be past 200 in something like this, but I do think in the near future you're going to see a 200 run on Facebook. It would be nice if it kind of went sideways for a day or two and then broke it out, establishing some sort of consolidation rather than make you feel like you're chasing everything at all-time highs. But watch this one here. So there's some stocks out there, like when I talked about TTD and I talked about TWLO, there's a handful of them out there that still have some room. I mean, you could even put shop there if you have a little bit more, a little bit more volatility in your veins. You could probably put this one here for a long too. It may trade back up to 332. So there's all of those thin betas, TTDs, PAYC, shop, TWLO, that they look like they have some room, and they've kind of worked, even while the market has sold off in the past, these have held up. I mean, look at the chart with shop. I mean, any sell-off, this is like the biggest sell-off that this thing has had a week or two ago or something like that. It was like the biggest we've seen in a year almost on this. I could be exaggerating on that, but I think you get the point. There's still some room on these. Back to that point, there are still some significant room on these. And if we have sort of a choppy or sideways market, these could be nice little plays. So keep those up on the list. I'll end it right there because, hey, I could talk stocks forever, even though it's boring to talk about stocks. But keep these up on the watch list. See if some of these turn out to be decent trades for you. If you need a little bit more help with that, visit the live trade room or just click on the link. Other than that, take care, trade well. I'll talk to everyone next week.